best one yet. So sleek and aerodynamic.
And such fine Corinthian leather.
This one is built to last. Now it's ready.
Are you ready for some football?
The NFC's Central Division is now winding down to the final few hands. After this weekend, only 3 games remain, and it's time to get in or get out. With the most tips right now, the Green Bay Packers, looking to win the division outright. But the chase is on for those wild card spots. The Detroit Lions have won 6-6, and they hold one of the league's top draws, ace running back Barry Sanders. He's an electrifying performer. Sanders is the entire running attack for the Detroit Lions, the team with the most prolific offense in the National Football League. The stakes are raised higher still when the opponent is a division rival. Tonight, the Lions will be matching cards with the Chicago Bears, who are 1 game ahead of them in the division standings. There's no time to fold, and Barry Sanders knows why.
It's really something that really overtakes the players and the fans, you know, when it's a division game. And it just makes it for a real special and kind of it's a unique division.
The chips are down for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're in the division cellar. The Minnesota Vikings have got to play their cards right from here on out. The Green Bay Packers have a winning hand, but they're looking over their shoulders at the Chicago Bears, who have a crucial play tonight. The NFC Central Division, who will be the kings of the jungle? More answers tonight as the Bears shuffle and deal with the Detroit Lions on ABC's Monday Night Football.
The hits, the bangs, and the blocks. It's the game of the week that's coming your way. Chicago and Detroit are ready to play. We gotta get ready. We gotta get right. The Bears and Lions will bite and scratch tonight. So get ready. I mean, get ready. Are you ready for some football? A Monday night party. We got Frank and Al and Dan. They're gonna get it kick-started. Lynn and the crew's all set. The crowd is psyched. 'Cause all my rowdy friends are back for Monday night.
The Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan, a little northwest of the city of Detroit. It will be rocking and rolling tonight. Some 80,000 fans on hand as 2 of the NFL's oldest rivals get it on one more time. A 132nd meeting. It'll take place tonight. The Bears and the Lions. Hello again, everyone. Frank Gifford with Al Michaels and Dan Dierdorf. You know, every year at the start of the season, we look at our schedule and we think, this one's a good one, that one's a great one. And we look forward to tonight all season long, and we hit it right on the head because 2 old rivals, the Bears and the Lions, in the NFC Central Division, the old black and blue division, which isn't that way anymore. They have a great fight going on for the playoffs. Green Bay's on top, 9-4. Then come the Bears, 7-5, 6-6 Detroit. And Detroit now is on a roll. They've won 3 in a row while the Bears are beginning to come back. They've lost 3 of their last 4, Al, and they almost lost it a week ago. Kevin Butler saving it in the final seconds over the Giants.
And Frank, almost every game has been a nail-biter. The Bears in their last 9 games have seen each game determined by 8 or fewer points. A lot of good news in regard to Chicago this year, especially offensively. Eric Kramer having a Pro Bowl type season at quarterback. And Jeff Graham and Curtis Conway have turned into a pair of big-time receivers. And they're averaging 27 points a game. They're also the least penalized team in the National Football League. The problem has been on the other side of the ball. They are yielding an average of 24 points per game. Dave Wanstead, the head coach, says we can't stop anybody. That's been the problem. And they have come full circle because for years when Chicago would win, people would say it's because of a great defensive effort. Now when they lose, it's generally because of a very porous defensive effort. They really have to step it up defensively. And tonight they'll take on the Detroit Lions, and when you face the Detroit Lions, Dan, you don't know what you're liable to see. It could be anything.
And it normally is just about anything, Al. We were here earlier in the year as they prepared to play the 49ers. They hadn't won a game yet. They were 0-3, so they had a 3-game winless streak. Now they have a 3-game winning streak, and tonight it's the Chicago Bears. This is a ball club that is not a reminder of Lions teams of the past. Roger Brown and Alex Karras and Darius McCord and Joe Schmidt must be rolling their eyes at the way this team moves the ball offensively. The #1 offensive team in the National Football League, and records are being broken along the way. Their quarterback, Scott Mitchell, before the season is over, will rewrite the single-season record book for the Detroit Lions. Barry Sanders is Barry Sanders, already over 1,200 yards. And Brett Perryman and Herman Moore, both with 87 receptions each, are challenging the NFL records for receptions not only as individuals, but as a tandem. If they are to win this ball game tonight, though, it'll have to be that their defense, ranked very near the bottom in the NFL, much like the Bears, is going to have to step up and do it. The man who leads the Detroit Lions in his 7th full season, the man who heads this silver streak, the personable Wayne Fontes, is down on our field with Lynn Swann.
Dan, thank you very much. Wayne, with all the things that have surrounded you and this team, the controversy, how do you keep them focused on this game tonight?
Well, Lynn, I told the guys not to worry about Wayne Fontes. I've been through this the last 7 years, so I told them to just take care of themselves. Don't win one for the Gifford. Let's go out there and win this for themselves, and let's hope this game can get us into the playoffs.
You played the Chicago Bear team only 2 weeks ago. You won by 7 points. Do you change anything up going into this game, or is it just execution?
I think it's execution, Lenny. We won't change it a whole lot, and I don't think they will either.
Okay, Coach. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Lenny.
And Al, I've known that man for about 20 years. If I wanted to describe his attitude, I'd have to call him the eye of the hurricane. Al?
And Lynn, he's used to walking that tightrope. He's been walking it year after year after year, but in tenure, he is 4th in service in the National Football League right now, behind only Shula, Mora, and Levy. Nate Lewis to receive the kick for Chicago. Jason Hansen puts it in the air. Good kick taken by Lewis at the 1-yard line. And he gets taken down by a flying tackle at the 24-yard line. Corey Schlesinger, a rookie out of Nebraska, with a special teams tackle to stop him and set up Chicago offensively for its first series. Eric Kramer used to play here, opted for free agency, now in his 2nd year with the Bears, having a stellar year, 26 touchdown passes. Rashawn Salam won the Heisman Trophy at Colorado last year. Carter, the fullback. Graham and Conway, the wideouts. Jennings, the tight end. Peck and Perry have been playing terrific football on the left side. Fontenot, Lewinberg, and Big Cat Williams round out the interior 5. Kramer right to the air, good protection. He's been rarely sacked this season, and he hits Ryan Wetnight, who is their 2nd tight end. He'll see a lot of action in addition to Jennings tonight. Now Detroit, last year they played a 3-4. This year back to a conventional 4-3. Ellis, their #1 draft choice out of Utah. Thomas came from Minnesota. Forshea and Scroggins. You've got Hayworth, the great Chris Spielman in the middle, and Mike Johnson, the ex-Brown. And then the secondary, and they've had problems. McNeil and Raymond, the corners. Blades and Clay, the safeties. 2nd and 5. The handoff to Salam, and he can't get started. He's taken down in the backfield. Chris Spielman, the middle linebacker, is right there to stop him. 3rd down.
Chris Spielman is playing in a lot of pain this season. He's playing with a torn pectoral muscle, and he's the kind of guy that can do it, though, Dan. He's one of the tough people in this league, but obviously it hurts him trying to wrap up on the tackle.
It's the right arm, and it does hurt him, and it makes him a little less effective, which, of course, only makes Chris Spielman better than just 95% of the linebackers in the National Football League. This guy defines toughness.
He comes out on 3rd down. Robert Green is in the game for Chicago. Green with the football, and he's played a very key role lately. He takes it up to the 33 and is tackled just short of the 1st down. Mike Johnson is there. It'll be 4th down and a short yard, and in comes the punting unit.
Crowd cheering the Detroit defense. Dan mentioned after 13 weeks it was dead last in the National Football League. They make a big stop, though, and force the punt.
Todd Sauerbrunn, who's had a pretty miserable year for a 2nd-round draft choice.
Whoa!
Who's this one, though? He heard you. Taken at the 20-yard line by Brett Perriman. And Perriman tackled at the 25. Sauerbrunn miserable enough that he was inactivated a couple of weeks ago. Pat O'Neill was picked up from New England. O'Neill kicked in one game, and now Sauerbrunn is back. Here are the Lions now. Scott Mitchell in his second year. He backed up Marino in Miami and then signed an $11 million contract over 3 years here. Sanders, the running back, the tight end, the rookie David Sloan, Moore, Perriman, and Morton, the three wideouts. The veteran Lomas Brown with Wydell, Glover, Lutz, and Hugh Zephyrus at around 330 pounds at right tackle. First down, the rookie Sloan in motion. Left-hander Mitchell retreats. The catch is made by Brett Perriman, who's scored 34 in his last 3 games. Dwayne Joseph makes the tackle. It's a gain of 8, 2nd and 2. Chicago defensively, smaller but faster than they've been in years. Spellman, Flanagan having a great year. Zorich and Theory gets the start at right end. Smith, Kane, and Cox in the middle. Donnell Wolford is hurt 4 straight weeks now. He's missed action, so Minifield and Lincoln are at the corners. Carrier and Carter are the safeties. 2nd down and 2 from the 33-yard line. And Barry Sanders, first rusher of the night, picks up about a half a yard up to the 34. It's going to be 3rd down and 1.
Well, the guy clearly on the spot tonight for Dave Wanstead's defensive team is going to be Kevin Minifield at the 1 corner. He's only making his 3rd start in the National Football League. Not a lot of experience out on the corner, and certainly with Perryman, with Herman Moore, they're going to single him out. Lincoln on the other side is 5'10". Minifield at 5'9". Herman Moore at 6'3", one of the great leapers in the league, certainly wins that mismatch.
3rd and a long 1 from the 34 in the Lions opening series. So they give it to Barry Sanders, and he cannot pick up the first down. The Bears corral him. Barry Minter and Ron Cox lead the charge. So each offense 3 and out on its first series.
Big stop. Minter, who played a lot in a 4-2 scheme that Chicago used in their loss a couple of weeks ago, makes a big play here. Joe Kane is there. Just a swarming defense, and that's what they're going to have to do. 92, Barry Minter.
Mark Royals to kick. Has to jump up to take the high snap and gets off a beauty. Graham takes it in at the 18-yard line. Gets a block, and Graham out past the 40 into Lion territory, and the punter Royals makes the tackle at the 44-yard line. Graham having a terrific season as the Bears' top wideout with a beautiful punt return here, setting Chicago up in Detroit territory. Danny Abramowitz pretty happy about it.
Take a look on the left side of your screen right there. Right here is the key block. That's Myron Baker, the linebacker. It's very close to being in the back, but it's enough to get Graham to the outside. And in a game where field position is all important, that return gives the Bears an awfully nice start in Lion territory.
Graham had returned 20 kicks. His longest run back had been 16. That's a 39. Jennings, the tight end, makes the catch and is taken down from behind by Tracy Hayward after a gain of 5. 2nd and 5. Monday Night Football is being brought to you by Cadillac and your Cadillac dealer, creating a higher standard. Delta Airlines, you love the way we fly. And Miller Lite, when you've got the great taste of an ice cold Miller Lite, life is good. Life will be pretty good for the winner of this game. Chicago would be 8-6 with 2 of its last 3 at home. Detroit very much back in the thick of things if they win, with a pretty soft schedule as Salam gets wrapped up as he crosses the line of scrimmage and driven back from the 38-yard line by Mike Johnson. A lot of wiggle and waggle from Salam.
Of course, the Green Bay faithful are certainly rooting for the Lions tonight, because if they tag the Lions with a loss, that really sets Green Bay up in awfully nice shape to win the NFC Central. So lots of ramifications for the winner and the loser of tonight's ball game.
Robert Green comes in along with Michael Timpson, the 3rd wide receiver for Chicago.
3rd down and 4. Wet Knight is in the slot to the right. Green with a nice block in the backfield, and then the catch is made by Wet Knight, but short of the first down. Greg Jeffries, who plays in the nickel situations for Detroit, made the tackle.
Good move by Jeffries to get up and take the first down away from Whitnight.
I think the Bears have to strongly consider going for the first down, given their field position.
They are.
And they're almost forced to do it. It's too far for a Butler field goal. You're looking at a 52 or 53-yard kick, and Dave Wanstead really has no choice. He picks up only maybe 10, 15, 20 yards in field position. Why not go for it?
4th and a long 2. Or Pooch punt it. They're going to try to draw Detroit offside. And they don't. They let the play clock run out. They'll get a delay of game call here. And the question is, will Detroit accept it?
Well, they might not take it.
Oh, I wouldn't. Now, the one thing to watch for here is that Dave Wanstead told us that look out for any kind of moves on special teams tonight that you may see. They want to keep Detroit's offense on the sidelines as much as possible. This is a perfect area of the field to run some type of a fake. If the Lions are smart, they'll be watching for it.
Well, Detroit did accept the penalty and moves it back to the 42-yard line. Sauerbrunn hangs it high, and a fair catch is called for and made at the 9-yard line by Brett Perryman. Lions take over deep in their own territory. Johnson looking at the clock. Right now the clock shows 8:32 left in the quarter. No score. Eight minutes and 32 seconds remaining in the first quarter at the Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan. Sold out, close to 80,000 looking on. And the Lions have it for the second time tonight with the league's #1 offense. 1st and 10 from the 10. Johnny Morton in motion. And Scott Mitchell at 6'6", retreats, throws, catch made by the great Herman Moore. Up at the 15-yard line, Minifield makes the stop. Clearly, when you talk about receivers, you start with Jerry Rice, then you go to Michael Irvin, and then you pretty much go to this guy and Chris Carter.
With Brett Perriman moving up, but the Lions are doing just what they went to in their win 2 weeks ago in Chicago. That is just going down, hooking up in front of defensive backs, setting up 10 or 12 yards deep, and their first step is still going back.
And that's a pass, Frank, that sails over the head of most receivers in the NFL.
He's 6'4". That's great size.
On 2nd and 4, makes the catch again, reaches up. He has wonderful hands. He very rarely cradles the football, catches everything in his hands.
That time in front of Minifield with Joe Kane out in front of it, and he just put it over Kane.
They're
underneath Minifield.
Dave Wanstead told us that he's going to give his corners help on virtually every play. Sometimes it'll be underneath from a linebacker. Sometimes it'll be over the top with a safety playing the deep outside. But these Bear corners are rarely ever going to be locked up one-on-one with either Moore or Perryman.
From the 28-yard line, looking that way again. There's Moore. Picks up the first down, out of bounds after a gain of close to 15, and that's his trademark. A lot of receivers love to cradle that ball into their chest, but not Herman. Just grasps it with those wonderful hands.
Well, the corners are, again, Minifield and Lincoln are both dropping 10, 12 yards off. They're going to keep going until they can't get it anymore.
Take a look at that on Thanksgiving Day. The three of them, Perriman, Moore, Morton, all over 100 yards, and Barry Sanders ran for over 100 yards that day.
410 yards for Scott Mitchell. Detroit Lion record.
And they barely won.
Yeah, 44-38. Catch is made by Perriman.
Hello.
At the 47 of Chicago, Perriman makes the catch, his second of the game.
Showtime, showtime.
He had to jump. He's only about 5'9", Perriman, whereas Herman Moore is 6'3". But he has wonderful hands. He's having a fabulous year, his best ever career years for both Moore and Perriman. Well, watch this catch. Now, he's got to think first about the ball, but he also has to be aware he's on the sidelines, both feet inbounds. Great concentration.
Highlight film. Look at the feet. Look at the feet, how he gets them down. Just magnificent work.
Lions at the Chicago 47-yard line. Corner blitz. They pick that up. Moore makes the catch. They can't make an ankle tackle, and that costs him a lot of yardage, and Herman has stayed inbounds and goes all the way in for the touchdown.
Give Barry Sanders an assist. Barry Sanders, a great running back, is a good blocker. He picks up the corner blitz, and that gave Scott Mitchell time to get the pass off.
And then followed up, Frank, by absolutely shoddy tackling on the part of the Chicago Bears. 2 cleanly missed tackles. The first on the corner, then about 7 yards later.
Minifield misses the first, and then Kane misses the second.
When you blitz, and you're a cornerback like Minifield, you're in a blitz, you've got to be up there in his face. Minifield again playing way off.
All he got was sock, and Joe Kane, don't ask me what he was doing. That was an extremely poor effort on the sidelines by number 59, Joe Kane.
Hansen puts it through on his way to the end zone. He breaks Pat Studstill's single-season career receiving yardage record.
Watch number 59 come in from the right on the sideline. You're a linebacker. You get a shot at a wide receiver. You got to make more of it than that. Well, there's Bob Slowick, the Chicago Bear defensive coordinator, realizing that what really kills you is when a 5-yard pass becomes a 46-yard touchdown. That can only happen by missed tackles, and that time the Bears had a couple that have hurt them a lot. And it's not only the score, but it demoralizes a defense. But like all great receivers, they turn the short pass into a big play.
Kick by Hansen just does get into the end zone before it goes out of bounds. Had it gone out at the half-yard line, the ball would have come back out to the 40-yard line. That close to a penalty, that close to a touchback. Lewis can't believe it. The offense takes over at the 20-yard line. 7-0, Lions. Live shot of the Silverdome from the Goodyear Blimp Spirit of Akron in Pontiac, Michigan. Beautiful early December evening. Chicago takes over. At its 20, they're down 7-0, and Kramer throws, and it's caught by Jeff Graham for a gain of 6, tackled by Ryan McNeil. The Bears, late in the season, in recent years on the road, have not only struggled, they have lost 14 consecutive regular season road games played in this month or January, which is 3 shy of that dubious NFL record set by Tampa Bay. They did, however, win a road game in January in the playoffs last year at Minnesota. Here is Salam going nowhere. Tackled behind the line of scrimmage. The Heisman Trophy winner, who came out of Colorado after his junior year and is averaging 3.4 yards per carry, tackled by Benny Blades.
Salam's longest run from scrimmage, 18 yards, and that was a week ago against the Giants. And that's kind of his history, though. His longest run in college was 41 yards, and he had over 3,000 yards there. He's a workhorse.
But as the graphic illustrated, 3.4, pretty poor. Better than only one other qualifier in the league at the moment. League average 4.0. 3rd and 4. And the pass a little too high for Robert Green.
Chris Spielman was all over Robert Green coming out of the backfield. Green wanted a penalty flag. He might well have gotten one. Spielman doing a fine job in there on pass coverage. Usually he's out.
And the Bears are 3-0 with 4:58 remaining in the first quarter. Todd Sauerbrunn was chosen in the second round. Willie Clay back to receive this kick. Sauerbrunn from West Virginia, drafted to punt and to kick off, and it's a low liner. Bad kick fielded by Clay, 36-yard line. And good coverage, though, by the Bears as he's taken down up at the 39-yard line by Ron Cox. Back come the Lions with Mitchell and Moore and company with 4:47 to go in the quarter. Herman Moore with that 46-yard touchdown reception, eclipsing Pat Studstill's mark, which Pat had held for 29 years, most yards on receptions in a season, and Herman still has 3 games plus the rest of this one. He had 4 catches on that last series alone for 78 yards as the Lions moved 90 yards. Mitchell was 5 for 5. The other pass went to Perryman, and Detroit leads 7-0. 1st and 10, Lions from the 38-yard line with Mort in motion. And Sanders gets tackled in the backfield.
A follow-up to that, Al. For Pat Studstill, when you put up a 1,200-yard plus season in 1966, that was a whale of a season catching the football.
That's a 14-game season to begin with, and at over 100 yards average per game by Herman Moore. Here it is.
That was
Carl Sweetman.
He throws to Pat Studstill, a 99-yard touchdown pass. Studstill had the record, went to the Pro Bowl, and he was the last Lion receiver to go to the Pro Bowl until Herman Moore went last February.
He was a good punter also.
Here is Barry Sanders, sooner or later, up to the 47-yard line. He's like a home run hitter. He strikes out a lot, i.e. gets tackled for a lot of losses, but I don't have to tell you what it's like when he breaks one.
One thing about Barry Sanders, you can say sooner or later, but the later always happens. 9 times out of 10, it always happens. You can keep him down, but not for long. And the greatest change of direction running back the NFL has seen in many, many, many years.
It's a pleasure to watch.
We're back to Gale Sayers, I think, until we talk about someone who can change direction as good as Barry Sanders can.
3rd and 2, and he tried to get into the Perryman, and a flag comes in. Lincoln with the coverage. Carter came over to help out. Flag down. Referee tonight is Mike Carey.
Pass interference against the defense, number 39.
Well, that's one way to stop them. This time Scott Mitchell trying to go up to the top to Perriman, and Lincoln on the coverage draws the flag. He's got help to the inside. He should have been positioned to the outside, and his hand all over Perriman.
Not a very good start for either one of the Chicago Bear corners.
Here is the 2000th carry of Sanders' illustrious career, and it's a 15-yard gain and a first. Marty Carter makes the tackle, first down.
And this is a defensive coordinator's worst nightmare when you can run the football like Detroit has run on this series and throw the ball almost at will. You've got a major problem.
Well, outstanding blocking by the Lions. They pin the corner. Barry Sanders uncontested as he goes around. Herman Moore gets a good block downfield. And this is, if you're going to give Barry Sanders that much room before he's contested, this one is in dire straits as far as the Bears are concerned if they don't get it together defensively.
3 minutes left in the quarter. A lot of time for Mitchell, who slings one to Perriman. And he is tackled at the 14-yard line. He's about 3 yards shy of the first. Jeremy Lincoln makes the tackle.
That time Perriman and Moore both working on the same side. The man who's kind of been lost thus far in the offense tonight is beginning to come on, and that's number 87, Johnny Morton. But here's Perriman. Underneath now, deep behind him, is Herman Moore. A little pump fake to Herman Moore. You threw underneath to Perriman. But Johnny Morton is coming on as a fine receiver. He was weak side. He had individual coverage on that last play. I think we'll see some of him tonight.
And their new guy, tight end David Sloan, the rookie, he's a factor here too.
2nd and 3. He's a factor right here as he makes the catch at the 9-yard line. And his forward progress and then some nets him a first down.
This guy is going to be a real player in the National Football League, and you can tell by the ovation from the crowd they realize it. Their 3rd-round draft choice from New Mexico. Look at the size.
He's getting a lot of help, man. As you know, Charlie Sanders, one of the great tight ends ever to play this game, and an assistant here with Detroit. And this is his project. David Sloan, he's done a good job with him.
And like Sanders, Frank, he's got that speed. He can threaten the middle of the field.
1st and goal from the 8. Mitchell loves to throw the fade. He is 8 for 8 thus far. He gives it to Sanders here, and Sanders takes it just inside the 5-yard line. John Theory makes the stop. Wayne Fonn saying that guy, Charlie Sanders, should get a lot of the credit for what's happening with this Detroit offense.
And you're right, Al. Detroit loves to throw the fade right here, and they love to throw it to Herman Moore. He's 6'3", a great leaper, and he has marvelous hands. He'll get himself locked up in all probability on the outside with Kevin Minifield. He'll get it. Minifield will have help from the inside, but somehow you have to try to take that away from him.
2nd and goal from the 4-yard line. Detroit leading 7-0. A minute to go in the opening quarter. Fake, throw, touchdown, Johnny Morton.
happens.
We used to say that about the 49ers and still do, but with these guys, it's Moore, it's Perriman, it's Barry Sanders, and if it's not them, how about Johnny Morton?
A #1 draft pick from a couple of years ago. Had a great career at USC. He just wants to get more balls coming his way. A little play action. Everybody thinking Perriman and Moore, and Morton was open.
One thing about play action, when it's to Barry Sanders, it really means something.
That is play action.
That's not just a token fake handoff to some pedestrian running back. That's real play action.
Those linebackers' eyes look like a deer in a road when he has his hands on that football.
Scott Mitchell looking every bit the $11 million man tonight. 9 for 9, 116 yards, 2 touchdowns in 14 minutes.
Talking with Greg Landry, the quarterback coach for the Lions earlier, who's worked so hard with Scott Mitchell, and said he's just night and day from when he arrived. He has so much confidence. He knows the offense. He knows the changes so well. They don't give him a whole lot, but he can make the changes. Greg said just like a 10-year veteran, and he's only been in this offense for a couple of years. There's Greg Landry, a great quarterback in his own right.
The place rocking tonight, and outside a look from above. It's the Goodyear Blimp Spirit of Akron hovering above the Silverdome in Pontiac, about a 45-minute drive from downtown Detroit. Lions looking with
no traffic.
Well, when did you make it?
At 3 o'clock in the morning, it's about 45 minutes.
Took me a month.
We got here and we needed a shave.
And a shower.
Oh, thanks.
Well, you did. Don't include Frank and I in that little bit.
Harry Wright. Hanson's kick taking a yard into the end zone by Nate Lewis, and Lewis hands the ball off to Michael Timpson. Look out! And Timpson, a receiver by trade, and looking every bit the roll, takes it to the Detroit 40-yard line. Exactly what Danny Abramowitz, the special teams coach, and the Bears needed at this point. And Frank Novak on the other side, who watched his special teams shredded in their last game against Minnesota.
Speaking of a deer in a highway, how about those eyes on Danny Abramowitz?
How about the eyes on Jason Hanson, the kicker? Boy, did he do his job. Boy, he stood his ground over on the sideline, and that's everything you can ask from your kicker. Now, the other 10 guys blew it. They were not in position. You have to honor your contained. There's Hanson, their number 4. He does a nice job of forcing Timpson back inside.
From the 39-yard line, Salam on a sweep. Can't get out of the backfield. Chris Spielman, torn pectoral muscle and all, stops him for a loss of 4.
Not the speediest linebacker in the NFL. Roving from the middle to the sidelines. Not Chris Spielman's strength. But he made a good read that time and had enough speed to get there and make the play.
And that will be the end of the first quarter here at the Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan. At the end of one, the Lions lead the Bears 14-0. And Monday Night Football resumes after this message and a word from our ABC station. The Chicago defense shredded by Detroit thus far. Scalped. Yep, Simpson and Zorich and the gang down 14-0 as the offense tries to get them back into the game. They work on Lomas Brown's fingers. We start the second quarter. 14-0 Detroit. 2nd and 14 as Kramer retreats and throws over the middle, and it's knocked down at the 40-yard line by Mike Johnson, the linebacker, intended for the tight end, Wet Knight. Numbers through the first 15 minutes of play. Detroit with the #1 offense in the National Football League. Means they've gained the most yards per game. And they're on that sort of a pace. 142 yards if you looked at it over a 4-period sequence, it would be 568 yards.
Well, Chicago is 6th ranked, Al, and they put no numbers up there at all.
Yeah, they're threatening the 80-yard mark for the entire game if you project it out their total of 20.
And a 3rd and long. Kramer gets hit by Robert Porcher as he releases 4th down, and Chicago will already punt for the 4th time in the game here.
That is rare for the Bears. They have protected their quarterback extraordinarily well this season. I think only 8 sacks coming into this game. That's remarkable, and they are seeing pressure tonight.
And twice, guys, they've had marvelous returns. You see Porcher getting the hand on, but twice they've had marvelous returns into Detroit territory and have gotten absolutely nothing out of it. You don't get that many chances to start in your opponent's territory.
Sauerbrun's kick bounces at the 5, and can the Bears keep it from going into the end zone? They do.
Volleyball.
Nice play. Pat Eilers, number 25, getting down there along with Ryan Wetnight to keep it from going into the end zone. But one official overrules the other, and now they say it was a touchback. So the Bears can't buy a break. Into the end zone and went, they say, and after the 20 comes Detroit.
You're going to see that the officials made a very good call in ruling this a touchback. Take a look on the left of your screen right there. All right, number 37 is going to come in right here. Wetnight gets it first. Keyshawn Johnson, watch his right foot. Right there, he steps on the goal line as he's touching the football. That places the football in the end zone for a touchback. A very alert call by the officiating crew here at the Silverdome.
And they did it at full speed.
Yep.
Great call.
First down, Detroit at the 20. Opening minute, 2nd quarter. Lions leading 14-0. Mitchell, and that's too high, intended for Moore. Covering on the play was Kevin Minifield. And again, it's very early in the game, but it's one of those key situations where the Chicago defense is going to have to step it up and do it right now.
So far, they could go to Moore on almost every play, even when he's had the underneath coverage, helping Minifield. Minifield playing so deep. That time, he was at least 6 or 8 yards off Moore after Moore was 10 or 12 yards deep. Somehow or other, you're going to have to make some kind of an adjustment. They're just going to keep going there all night.
Well, the loss of Donnell Wolford right now really shows how desperately the Bears need him.
That was Mitchell's first incomplete pass. Now he is 10 of 11 as Barry Sanders almost got loose enough for a first down, and then tackled by Kevin Minifield, and there's a flag down.
I think you're probably going to get a call against Brett Perriman. Looked like he hit somebody in the back.
Mike Carey, an official for the 6th year. It's his first year as a referee and his first Monday Night Football contest as a ref.
Illegal block in the back by the offense, number 80. 10-yard penalty. Brings up 2nd down.
Yeah, this was pretty apparent right at the end of the play, right where Sanders goes down. Perriman drops, I think, Jeremy Lincoln. All right, let's take a look. There it is at the top right part of your screen. Now watch as he finishes this off. He's going to come in from behind, and he pushes Lincoln to the ground. Granted, it wasn't a brutal hit, but he realized he did it because he instantly went up with the hands trying to say, I didn't do it.
And he didn't protest it either. But it was a little picky.
Well, right now, the Chicago Bears need all the help they can get because they're not making anything happen on their own.
You know, we talked about these 2 outside receivers, Perriman and Moore. They do everything, too. They do a lot of good blocking downfield. They never know when Barry's going to come out of that backfield, so they are really fine blockers downfield. They're just complete football players.
When Scott Mitchell started throwing the football with confidence, having Barry Sanders already in place and having Moore and Perriman waiting for this guy to mature, this is an offense that has blossomed. This is an explosive offense, but it all hinged on the maturation of Mitchell.
2nd and 5, and it's dropped by Barry Sanders. So Mitchell throws one for Moore too high, and Sanders drops one. Dwayne Joseph covering. It'll be 3rd down and 5.
Tricky little catch for Barry coming out of the backfield, but he handles it well. He's had over 30 receptions on the year himself. He's very patient. He knows they stack a defense for him. He knows he'll get his opportunity. This one thrown more at him than where he had to do a complete 360, and he just didn't handle it. And he knows he'll get his moment.
14-0 Lions. 13:44 left in the first half. On 3rd and 5. Mitchell to the tight end, the rookie, David Swann out of New Mexico.
Did he catch that? That looked like it hit the ground, yeah.
It did.
That was not a series of good throws by Scott Mitchell that time. Overthrows more, throws behind Sanders, and now throws this one onto the turf in front of Sloan.
That was after he had been 9 for his first 9.
Yeah.
Get a good look at the athleticism of the big man, Sloan. 6'6", 254 pounds, and he almost pulled that one in.
Just did hit the turf. Royals gets the kick away. Spins it down to the 28-yard line, and here is Graham on the loose again momentarily. And
Royals
up at the 39.
Royals arguing for a call, but the officials ruling that the Chicago Bears were blocked into him. No penalty.
The Tuesday night comedies tomorrow. Roseanne, Hudson Street with Tony Danza and company, home improvement coach, and then Barbara Walters, the 10 most fascinating people of the year. That's all tomorrow night right here on ABC. Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, Dan Dierdorf, Lynn Swann in Pontiac, Michigan. Chicago down 14-0. First and 10 from the 39. Kramer throws. Catch made by the fullback, Tony Carter. And Carter works his way to midfield to the 50-yard line and is very close to and has a first down. Monday Night Football is being brought to you by Miller Lite. When you've got the great taste of an ice-cold Miller Lite, life is good. Cutthroat Island, the action-adventure motion picture of the holiday season. And Lincoln Mercury in the complete line of 1996 Mercury automobiles. That was Chicago's first down of the game.
Again, they have good field position.
Deep drop by Kramer. Guns it far side. Good throw, and the catch is made at the 34 by Curtis Conway.
Conway looks like he's hurt. He's still down. I don't think Conway got his feet in bounds, but the official ruling that he was knocked out of bounds.
Detroit will argue this, but if the momentum of the defender carries him out of bounds, they will give it to the offensive player.
Well, especially if that momentum is provided by a defensive player.
The question is, did he have possession as well as he was pushed out of bounds?
Ryan McNeil was the Lion cornerback.
Well,
it's a high throw. It's a high throw. There's Conway.
And his feet would have come down.
Boy, he never did have possession of that football.
And they're going to bring it back.
Yep. They're going to make the right call, as it turns out.
This has been an all-star production by this officiating crew so far. They're seeing everything.
Yep.
They're seeing everything.
Pass is ruled incomplete, second down.
As well it should have been.
Still a great effort by Conway and a superb one by Ryan McNeil to actually force it out of his hands.
And it was good teamwork by the officials. The one from behind was ruling he was knocked out. The one in front saw that he didn't have possession.
Second and 10, big heavy rush, and the pass is incomplete. Third down.
Kramer's been well protected all year long. They like to have him get rid of the football. 1, 2, 3, boom. But he's not able to do that, and he is getting pressured.
Shane Bonham, a backup tackle, and Luther Ellis, their #1 draft choice from Utah, led the charge.
Well, Bonham enjoys a tremendous luxury, and that's the fact that he has Henry Thomas on the other side. And Henry Thomas is going to be double teamed all the time, and the defensive tackle on the other side of Thomas is going to be single blocked the entire game.
Bonham rotates in, spelling Porsche in this sequence. Third down 10 from the 50-yard line. And the pass is a little high, but it's pulled in, however, short of the first down. Conway makes the catch. McNeil makes the tackle, but they're short of the first down. And London came in and knocked Kramer down as he threw.
Kramer, Conway both read the blitz. However, it was just good defensive coverage by McNeil. He was up tight, as you have to be when you have the blitz. Kramer reads it right here. They pick it up. Kramer fires it, but McNeil is right there.
Well, the Bears kept their offensive team on the field. Remember the last time they just tried to draw Detroit off sides. Down 14-0. Dave Wanstead is going to have to seriously consider making a play for this.
And they'll talk about it. Chicago takes a timeout. It's first. 12-1 to the half. The Lions up by 2 touchdowns. at the Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan. The Lions lead 14-0, but the Bears have taken a timeout, 4th down and 2, and they will go for it, or at least line up to go for it at the 42-yard line of Detroit.
I think this is a decision that Dave Wannstedt has to make partially on the way his defense has been playing.
And the catch is made. Graham flagged down, however, at the line of scrimmage. Clay makes the tackle.
Well, we definitely had a flinch on the part of the Bears.
A hard count by Eric Kramer. He was very good at it.
Let's see if a Detroit movement caused that flinch or if this is going to go against the Bears all the way.
Mike Carey, the ref.
Before the snap, there was a false start on the offense, number 80. 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
Jeff Graham, it's unusual for him to be involved in it.
That's a wide receiver. There he is right there in the slot. And that's a killer. He ends up catching the pass, but he had to know even as he was running the pattern that he had made the mistake.
Now Todd Sauerbrunn to kick. High floating kick. Willie Clay calls for the fair catch and makes it at the 16-yard line. 31-yard boot. Lions back on offense. 11:52 to the half. 14-0 Detroit. A week from tonight, we have one of the most interesting and intriguing matchups of the season. The Chiefs, 11-2, best record in the league, against the Miami Dolphins, and there might be enough to talk about at Joe Robbie Stadium next Monday. Great attraction, Kansas City against Miami. Here Detroit takes over at its 16-yard line. Lions on top, 14-0. Mitchell to Moore. And Herman run out of bounds by Kevin Minifield up at the 22 after a gain of close to 5. Lions tonight. And the Bears, the average starting field position. Chicago has begun at its own 39 on average, and Detroit at its own 23. But the Lions, with long drives, paying off. Tom Moore, the offensive coordinator, they've been calling the right numbers. This time they called Sanders' number, and he takes it to the 25-yard line. Short of the first, Carter makes the tackle, 3rd and 1.
Herman Moore out front blocking for Sanders, and I don't know, when I watch Sanders, I mean, every time he carries the football, you feel he's going to break it. He is one of the most exciting running backs I've ever watched.
How many players, Frank, are there in the National Football League that accelerate your heart rate just every time they touch the football? They're less than a handful, and Barry Sanders certainly one of them.
He's totally unique.
3rd down and 1, and the catch made by the great Herman Moore, and he is up to the 33, and that's a 1st down. Tackled by Kevin Minifield.
I said earlier, as long as they're going to give Herman Moore 6-8 yards, they're going to take it every time. They do it off an automatic. They call the play, and they'll change it to a run if they get out of this coverage. But Minifield laying off about 10 yards when he sets up, and his first step is back.
That was on a 3rd and 1. Moore has now caught 6 passes tonight and 93 this season. Fake draw. Then Sanders lays down a block, and Mitchell under pressure throws it away incomplete. And looks for a flag. Chris Zorich and Barry Minter got to him.
That time Mitchell had intended to go deep to Herman Moore, and they pressured him out of the pocket, and he couldn't get the delivery. Mitchell in the first Bear game a couple of weeks ago sprained his ankle, and he's not all that agile to begin with. This time he just unloads on it with the pressure, and even though Herman Moore had gotten by Kevin Minifield, he didn't have time to get it there.
Mitchell already 146 yards tonight in the first 20 minutes of play. Here's Sanders, and Barry tackled up at the 44. Good tackle by Mark Carrier. Otherwise, he would have had a lot more than 10.
Oh, he's something, and he hardly ever gives up the football, too. He seldom ever fumbles, and he picks up a big, as our producer Kenny will said, a Dallas-type hole on this one, but watch him accelerate once he's into it. And the reason he doesn't fumble a lot, the tacklers themselves, they're not thinking about taking the ball out of there. They're thinking about, am I going to miss him?
Well, the Chicago Bear defensive line, not a factor so far in this football game. They're either tied up with a line or they're on the ground.
Barry, who's averaging 5 yards a carry, is going to throw this time. He does everything, but he's a little high with the toss.
And he threw into coverage. He threw that one into coverage, and that could have been intercepted by Chicago.
Yep. That's the kind of, you well know, Dan, a team meeting, they'll have a lot of fun with Barry Sanders. He's so well liked in this ball club. They say he's a better person than he is a player.
Bears knew that one was coming.
Yeah, I don't think there's any risk that he's going to yank him out of the lineup.
Well, they'll play this 2 or 3 times for him.
But there's some Chicago Bears around that football right there.
Well, Barry would just tell you, I placed it where no one could handle it.
It almost looked like Mark Carrier didn't see the ball until the last minute. He was awfully close to that to not get a hand on it.
And Sanders can't make the catch here, so it's 3rd down.
Again, a little pressure on Scott Mitchell, disrupting, forcing him out of the pocket.
Well, Barry Sanders can do so much, but passing is not his forte. That was, strangely, it was only the 2nd pass of his career, both incomplete passes, the other in 92.
Keith Byers, he's not?
No, not yet. Third and 10.
Formerly of the Eagles, now with the Dolphins, one of the more prolific running back / passers.
3rd and 10, and Mitchell reluctantly and frustratingly has to call a timeout. 9:14 left in the first half. 14-0 Detroit. Detroit takes a timeout. But as we all know, we live in a what have you done for me very lately world. So a month ago they want to fire Wayne Fontes. Now they've won 3 straight. They lead 14-0. They've got a soft schedule the rest of the way. He could be the coach of the year before we know it.
They win tonight. They got Houston, they got Jacksonville and Tampa Bay, and they could wind up in pretty good shape.
Sure. 3rd down and 10 for the Lions here at the 45-yard line. And they give it to Sanders on a draw, and Barry gets taken down at the 50-yard line, and they'll have to punt.
Unfortunately for Wayne, he gets a lot of credit for the fact that they're on a 3-game winning streak, but it also raises the questions with all of this talent. When you watch the Lions go up and down the field, how could they open up at 0-3? How at one point in time could they be 3-6? It's kind of a double-edged sword for Wayne. There's criticism that the Lions should be in a much more comfortable position than just at 500.
And it seems to happen annually.
Mark Royals kicks. Graham was back there, lets it bounce, and it goes into the end zone for a touchback. That's where the Bears will take over at the 28-33 to the half. Chicago starts this drive from the 20-yard line on 1st and 10. Rashaan Salaam tackled by the rookie Luther Ellis. Salaam unable to get untracked tonight, and that's a part of the problem that Chicago has had, moving the ball down the field, and that's another reason that Todd Sauerbrunn has played such an instrumental part in this game tonight, the Bear punter.
Good fill there by number 59 Mike Johnson. I'm going to give Salaam back about 40 yards. He had actually in college had a 67-yard run. I said earlier 41 was his longest. He actually had a 67-yard run for his longest.
2nd and 10. And they give the ball to Green, and Green takes it up past the 30 to the 31-yard line on the 1st down. Tackled by Mike Johnson, and Dave Wanstead has been using Green about as much as Salaam over the past 3 weeks.
Well, he's averaging over 5 yards a carry, where Salaam is averaging about 3.4, or he was coming into tonight, maybe a little less now. But Robert Green also is a good receiver coming out of the backfield. Former free agent, picked up off waivers from Washington, can do a lot of things.
Bears already with 5 punts tonight. 1st down from the 32. Fake draw. Kramer buys time, then throws too high. Incomplete, intended for Curtis Conway over the middle. He's covered on the play by Corey Raymond.
It's about the 3rd time tonight that a pass of Eric Kramer's has floated. He has been high repeatedly throwing the football, and Boy, a lot of times when you're high, especially over the middle part of the field, two bad things happen. One is your receiver gets terminated. Secondly, a lot of times it's intercepted because the safety is sitting back there in position. Kramer's got to get that ball tighter and lower.
Kramer 6 of 12 for only 38 yards. Second down and 10 from the 32-yard line. Green up to the 38-yard line. Where it'll be third down and 5. Johnson and Spielman make the tackle with 7 minutes to go in the first half.
Bears just can't seem to get anything done on first down, get themselves into something a little more sane. They're finding themselves in second and long, third and long, and they're just not making the plays. It just seem like they're out of sync, and this is the pressure they're putting on Kramer is by a defense ranked dead last in the league. They're making the Bears offense look really weak.
Third down, short 5 from the 38-yard line. Porcher jumps, flag is thrown, and the pass is incomplete.
Well, this may give the Bears a much-needed first down. Early in the season, the Lions on defense, and there's their line coach John Tierlink, who came over here from Minnesota, had a terrible problem staying on sides.
Offsides against the defense, number 91. 5-yard penalty, the measurement gives first down.
In the middle part of the season, they rectified it. They were doing a lot better. And you can see this, the most penalized team in the National Football League.
Facing the team that has committed the fewest penalties in the NFL this year.
That's a statistic that year in and year out normally belonged to Don Shula and the Dolphins. For decades, they were the least penalized team in the league.
And it was hard to beat the Raiders out for the most penalized.
Right. Yeah, you're right, Frank.
Detroit's number 1, as Wayne Fox told us last night.
First and 10 from the 43-yard line. Kramer moves up and slides to a hold at the 46-yard line. Henry Thomas makes the tackle.
Tierlink really brought over here to put more of an attacking defense in for the Detroit Lions, going to the defense that the Minnesota Vikings have used so effectively over the past few years, where Tierlink was. Of course, Henry Thomas came with him. That didn't hurt.
That's Herb Patera. Now, he's actually the defensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions. And he has been here for a while, and Tierlink, the man in charge of getting those 4 guys upfield. Upfield, that's what he preaches.
Second and 7, and Green takes it to the 50-yard line, wrapped up there by Johnson. It will be third down and 3 with 5:40 to go in the half.
Well, you can't overstate how large it would be for the Bears to finish this drive, to take this down and get some points, even if they have to settle for a field goal. But at least get on the scoreboard before halftime and chew up enough of the clock to make it tough for Detroit to score again before halftime gets here. That's Ron Turner we're looking at there. He's the offensive coordinator of the Chicago Bears, Norv Turner's brother.
Bears averaging less than 3 yards a play. Third and 3, and the pass too long, intended for Timpson, but a flag is down at the 35-yard line.
There's Corey Raymond, and there was a little bit of a collision, and a flag came out immediately. Corey Raymond was on the coverage.
Well, Timpson was not as far downfield as Eric Kramer expected him to be.
Pass interference against the defense.
And that's why.
No way that ball.
Kramer threw the ball to a spot. They practice it over and over and over. And now we see that there was a good reason why Michael Timpson didn't make it to that spot.
Well, it was Corey Raymond, number 31. He gets an arm and just breaks the stride of Timpson trying to get downfield. Whether or not he could have got under this ball, I don't know. But it's very disruptive to have somebody give you just a little bit of tug. It'll throw you off stride, and the official was right on top of it.
I think Raymond did that consciously, thinking he was beaten for a touchdown.
From the 36-yard line, Kramer started to slip and then gets sacked. Tracy Scroggins, 4th year out of Tulsa, one-time running back, sacks him back at the 43-yard line.
Again, I'll go back to what I said earlier. The Bears have protected Kramer so well all season, and it's a combination of a 1-2-3, get rid of it, drop, But he had no shot here. The pressure by Scroggins right on top of Kramer before he had a chance to even think about going upfield with it.
Well, it's a mismatch for the Bears as they're trying to block Scroggins with a running back. Number 30 was Tony Carter. He certainly didn't put up a great deal of resistance against Scroggins. He'll win that thing time after time.
It's 2nd and 17, and Kramer loses the football and then recovers as Antonio London came flying in, knocked it loose.
Antonio.
And then he started to celebrate before he realized who recovered the football.
Antonio setting the record for getting to the bench quicker than any player in the history of the game. Now has to make the trip back out to the middle of the field.
Well, he's an expert pass rusher for Detroit. He has 4 sacks on the season. A lot of speed.
Make it 5.
That's 5. 239 pounds. He's very quick from the corner. And just around James Williams, Big Cat just couldn't stay with him.
Yeah, they'll officially record that as a sack. And he's quickly to the bench.
Yep. 3rd and 24. They have to get to the 26 to convert. Green inside the 40, and he takes it to the 36, so they're 10 yards shy. Johnson makes the tackle. 4th down coming up. 3:50 left in the half.
Boy, the Bears here in the first half, they've made it now to the 36. They've already been to the 38, to the 40, and to the 42. 4 times they've been inside Detroit territory and haven't been able to get much of anything out of it.
Now you're looking at a 53-yard field goal attempt. You saw Wanstead shake his head and send Butler into the game.
Butler's career best is 55.
Again, be alert for special teams trickery.
Trickery and deceit. 53-yard attempt, maybe. He kicks it, but this one's not going to make it short.
Boy, and now, with 3 minutes and 12 seconds left on the clock, now it's Detroit's turn. Good field position and a lot of time.
That's the risk you take. I mean, it was, I'm sure that it went through Dave Wanstead's mind. Can Butler reach it? I mean, it would have been right at the extreme limit of Kevin Butler.
And it goes to the spot whence it was kicked, which is the 44-yard line.
Well, you know it's customary with a kicker who has the experience that Kevin Butler has to go to him and say, what do you think? And obviously Kevin said, I think I can do it. He's inside a dome. Kickers love it. Doesn't have the swirling winds of Soldier Field. And Dave Wanstead, guys, remember how quietly confident he was when we met with him yesterday? I think he's a little rattled right now.
He is. He said he liked his defensive scheme the last time they played, just didn't like the execution. Here's Moore making the catch, and he's out of bounds at the 46, and enough for a 1st down for Detroit.
Well, again,
right in front of Minifield.
Reminds me of John McKay's line when asked, what do you think about the execution of your team? And he says, I'm all for it. That might be the case with the Bears defensively here in the first half.
Yeah, John could have said that year after year at Tampa Bay.
Oh, he was a wacky guy.
He was. He wild and woolly and wacky guy. 1st down at the 46-yard line. Moore has caught 7 balls in the first half. How about 8? 1st down at the 30-yard line.
Well, that was beyond Minifield. He was getting double coverage with Carrier and Minifield, and Scott Menzel showing a lot of arm, just whipping that out there before the coverage could collapse. Watch this. Now Moore will get behind Minifield. Step to the outside. Carrier's over there behind him in the double coverage.
I would think that even going to an end zone camera like that we'd find a Bear in the picture with Herman Moore. We couldn't even do it from that angle. We may have to go wide angle.
Detroit at the 31, 2:20 to go in the half. They lead 14-0. Catch made. Herman Moore having another spectacular game. Takes it to the 20 and a 1st down.
Well, this is a cornerback's nightmare.
1st down, Detroit.
I think they might call Bob Slowick. Say, I need a little help out here.
9 catches, 129 yards for Herman Moore as we come up to the 2-minute warning. 14-0 Lions. Captain Kynette is up there in the Goodyear blimp Spirit of Akron. Has made its way up from northeastern Ohio to southeastern Michigan on this coolish evening.
I don't know how they're flying it without me.
You better get home. They got some weather moving in here.
Yep. College basketball comes your way Saturday. Villanova, number 3 in the country, against Purdue. Florida State takes on DePaul, regional action. And then the Diners Club matches featuring Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer. And coverage begins this Saturday at 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific, right here on ABC. 2 minutes left in the half. Detroit leads 14-0, and they have a 1st and 10 at the Chicago 20.
If you're on the Detroit offensive unit as a wide receiver, or running back like Barry Sanders is, you just say, you just give me the ball. Just that kind of a night.
Ward Bond,
working.
Ward Bond and the wagon train are rolling into the Silverdome, and the officials have had to delay this series until they get out of the back of the end zone. I don't think we want a receiver running into a Conestoga down there.
No, Horace Greeley leading this charge.
Oh, here come the Prairie Schooners.
Oh, yeah.
And Herman Moore land on top of one of those. That's where they like to go to Moore, on that fade route that we've talked about. But you better believe that Brett Perriman and Johnny Morton are saying, hey, mate, throw that ball to me. I'm open too.
Moore lines up to the right side. He's caught 9 passes in the first half. Mitchell, and nobody is home, so some miscommunication there. The nearest intended receiver, I think, was Morton, and Perryman ran the wrong route.
It was Perriman. Perriman knew that he ran the wrong route. He didn't hear it from Mitchell when he changed it or something, and he looked so embarrassed.
It's a blitz by the Chicago Bears, and it's read by Mitchell, not by Perryman. They had it set up that side. If the blitz comes to that side, you run the fade into the end zone. Perriman didn't see it.
But look how far, even Lincoln, they're playing off these Detroit receivers. 10, 12 yards, they're back.
2nd down, 10. Barry Sanders, remember him? Picks up 6 to the 14-yard line.
Oh, there comes a late flag. Frank, I think we ought to point out that your analysis there is correct, but it's not out of fear. Dave Wanstead has them playing back there on purpose. He thinks that he wants to make the Lions be patient, make them go the length of the field in bits and pieces. Unfortunately for Wanstead and the Bears, that's exactly what the Lions are doing.
Face pass, 5 yards only on the defense, number 59. 5-yard penalty, automatic. 1st down.
Boy, there's a killer.
If there's somewhere in between there, but as a cornerback, you have got to have some kind of pressure.
There's the face mask right there.
And that head spins. The official will see it every time.
Joe Kane, the middle linebacker. And that is an automatic 1st down. Bad time, bad place.
1:47 to the half. Detroit has 2 timeouts remaining. So does Chicago. Detroit leads 14-0. 1st and goal. Mitchell, little fade for Perriman, and Lincoln with good coverage. 2nd and 10.
I think that might be more to pacify Perriman than anything else. The wide side of the field is to Herman Moore, who's locked up and would have been single coverage, perhaps with inside help with Minifield. But that was fine coverage by Lincoln. They're forced in to play tight because of the end zone presence.
They've gone a while without giving Barry the football. I think we'll see Sanders handle this thing sometime soon.
2nd down, goal. He looks toward Moore, and then Herman gets spun around, and the pass is incomplete. It's thrown behind him. Minifield covering on the play, and Carter over to help out. 3rd and goal. Herman's caught 9 passes in the half. The NFL record in one game is 18, set 45 years ago by Tom Fears, so he's on the pace right now to tie it.
Minifield up tight because of the end zone presence, and also he knew he was going to get help from the inside with Marty Carter.
Not a bad half.
96 for the season for Herman Moore.
Not a bad season.
Yeah. Not a bad career. 3rd and goal. Barry Sanders makes the catch, goes in for the touchdown.
This is overwhelming the Chicago Bears. They are just being overwhelmed by the Bears. That's all I can say. Too many weapons coming from too many directions for the Bears to handle.
Perriman and Morton ran a crossing pattern on the left side. Sanders came out right underneath it. The defense collapsed with Perriman and Morton, and Sanders was wide open.
Barry's first touchdown reception of the season to go with 8 rushing touchdowns.
A lot of teams will put somebody on Barry Sanders all the time just to shadow him no matter where he goes on the field. The Bears that time took a chance, had no shadow on Sanders, and they paid for it.
Hansen, point after. 21-0 Lions. Oh, what a genius that Wayne Fonts is, huh? They're ready to run him out of town. Well, they've been ready to run him out of town about 15 times in his career. Now he's on the verge of a 4-game winning streak.
It's wonderful the way he handles it, though, and I know it really has to hurt. And the personal criticism and the focus of some of it gets downright nasty and mean, but it was in loss to Atlanta, and came down from the top that you don't make the playoffs, there are going to be changes made here.
Here's the tenure of the 4 major sports: football, baseball, basketball, hockey. He is number 7. Only Shula, Mora, and Levy have been at the helm of their teams longer. And in baseball, Lasorda, Leland, and Tom Kelly. So Fonts has outlasted every coach in the NBA, every coach in the National Hockey League. He's been here since 1988. William Clay Ford, the owner of the team.
What a great man he is. He's one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. And I know he was caught in a moment of anger after the Tampa Bay game 4 weeks ago, and when the loss, and he was upset about it. He said, well, unless we make the playoffs, they'd ask him, will you make some changes? He said, we probably would. And they took that and ran with it. Poor Wayne Fonts has had to live with it.
Hansen takes it to the 5-yard line. Nate Lewis comes straight up the middle. Flags come in all over the joint at the end of the play at the 35-yard line. The tackle is made.
Flag on the play.
On the return, holding. On the return, team number 36. 10-yard penalty, first down.
Sometimes it starts slipping away from you so fast you can't even grab it and get control of it, and that's what's happened to the Bears here in the first half. Every opportunity to make a mistake, they're doing it. Dave Wanstead is going to have to get his club in the locker room at halftime and just try to settle them down. The frustration has to be absolutely tremendous with this Bear team.
Again, the surprise is not that the Detroit Lions are putting up the numbers. It's the fact that the Bears have put the 6th-ranked offense in the league, and they've been scoring a lot of points. They can't move the football tonight.
64 total yards in the first half for the Bears, obviously way below what's acceptable.
Detroit playing very well on both sides of the ball, and they lead 21-0 with 1:24 to go in the half. Play clock is down to 4. And Kramer under pressure throws. Wet Knight makes the catch. Tackled up at the 30-yard line. It'll be 2nd down and 3. The Bears have 2 timeouts at their disposal.
Brought down by McNeil and Jeffries.
Spotted at the 31. Called it 2nd down and 2.
The hurry-up offense is not one of the Bears' long suit either.
Kramer, after escaping a near sack, finally gets sacked by Henry Thomas.
Porcher was the first guy in there. Boy, did he get in clean and in a hurry. Once he forces Kramer to backpedal and get Porcher away from his feet, Eric has no chance to react and get away from Henry Thomas.
3rd sack of Kramer. The last time he was sacked 3 times in the game was Chicago's last visit here last year.
There's Porcher at Kramer's feet, and Eric has no chance to get away.
28 sacks against Kramer all season. He's taken every snap.
3rd and 13, and on a draw they give it to Green, and he gets run down by Mike Johnson like a truck.
Run down, run over, run through.
Mauled. Former Cleveland Brown came over to then protected free agent.
And Chicago's just going to let the clock run down. Will Detroit take the timeout is the question. Some of the Lions are asking for a timeout and unable to get the attention of the officials, and the clock runs all the way down. Well, Brett Favre and the Green Bay Packers have been red hot. Brent Musburger will be talking to Brett at the half. We'll also have a chat with Marcus Allen, who had a brilliant day in Oakland yesterday. That's the first half in Pontiac. Detroit leading by a score of 21-0. And back we come after this message from the NFL and a word from our ABC station.
The Toyota Halftime Report. Brought to you by Toyota and their full line of quality cars and trucks. Toyota, I love what you do for me. From our New York studios, your host, Brent Musburger.
Good evening, everybody. Let's feature the Green Bay Packers tonight. This could be huge. They would virtually lock up the NFC Central if the score holds up the way it is right now. But can the Packers move up on the Cowboys or the 49ers? Not likely if Reggie White's hamstring turns out to be a serious injury. Reggie says, I'll play Sunday against Tampa Bay. Don't worry about me. They got the hottest hand in the NFL. 31 touchdown passes this year. But take a look at the schedule, folks. They trail the Cowboys by a game. They're tied with the 49ers. You want that first week bye. You need the time off. But Favre told us they can't move up if they can't beat the 49ers or the Cowboys.
We went to Dallas, I think, the last 4 years and lost to them, I think, 6 times, including the playoffs. And to get a chance to play them again is something that I think we relish, even though we haven't beaten them. But, you know, that's what we're looking for. Those are the type of games that people dream of, and we'd love to get in a position to play one of those guys again.
Now the MVP race, do you think that you will win it as far as the writers are concerned?
There's some great players out there. It would be great to win it. And I think it would be great for our players that I would have a chance to even be mentioned in the same breath of those guys. But I think my numbers are pretty good right now, and we're winning. And the most important thing, obviously, is to win.
How can a quarterback from the South who played at Southern Mississippi be unbeaten in cold weather games?
That's a good question, Brent. It's tough. I don't like the cold weather. It's not fun to play in. But I think playing here and knowing that when I look at our schedule that there's going to be cold games in the latter part of our season, that I'm going to be okay. And I know other teams don't want to come in and play us. So I just try to use it to my advantage, and so far it's worked.
Interesting final game of the regular season, Christmas Eve. The Steelers are in Green Bay. Oh, Peter King of Sports Illustrated. Tonight he tells us about another team on the move, but not far.
Brent, Jack Kent Cooke will get NFL approval to move the Redskins 5 miles into Maryland. But if the Browns go to Baltimore, that'll mean 2 teams in a state that formerly had none. And it raises this issue. Can the area sell a total of 380 luxury boxes, 30,000 expensive club seats, and 118,000 regular tickets?
I'm not too concerned about Baltimore, and I mean that quite sincerely. I'm concerned only about the Washington Redskins. And I'm quite positive that we're going to succeed to exactly the extent that all our projections indicate we will succeed.
In other NFL news, ex-Packer wideout Sterling Sharp wants to re-enter the NFL after serious neck surgery. Look for the Eagles to give him a shot in 1996 if he passes their physical. And Houston coach Jeff Fisher tells me prize rookie quarterback Steve McNair will make his NFL debut Sunday against Detroit. Brent?
All right, Peter, we've talked about the NFC. What about the AFC? Marcus Allen is coming up next. You know, the NFC has won the last 11 Super Bowls. The last victory by the AFC in '84 by the Los Angeles Raiders. Marcus Allen, a 74-yard touchdown. Allen, age 35, he's leading the Chiefs toward the big prize.
Brent, in Oakland yesterday, Marcus Allen became the first player in the history of the National Football League to exceed 10,000 yards rushing and 5,000 yards in receptions as he rushed for 124 yards in the Chiefs' win against the Oakland Raiders. And Marcus joins us now from St. Joseph, Missouri. I know that, Marcus, you've been fond in the last few weeks of saying we're not really that good a team. The Chiefs just keep beating good teams. I take it you've been kidding around because you must have a pretty good team in Kansas City.
I certainly have been kidding around. I think we're a much better team than people have given us credit for. You know, we've gone out and we've done what we have to do. Our record is 11-2, and hopefully the AFC West Championship is not the taste that we want in the long run, but it's a closer step to where we want to go.
Marcus, you're 35 years old. You are the oldest running back right now in the National Football League in your 14th season. You're not signed for next year. Will you play next year, and will it be in Kansas City?
Well, we had those discussions, and there's a strong possibility. And, you know, things have been going great. I feel wonderful. Physically, I'm excited about playing, and the enthusiasm is still there. If I feel the same way next year, I'll be here. Kansas City is the place for me, and I'd like to end my career here.
Marcus, people from time to time need a little red meat, and I know you've downplayed it a little bit. But in all honesty, against the Raiders, you've had your 2 best games since you have put on a Kansas City Chief uniform. How special was it knowing Al Davis is up in the box watching the game, knowing you're going against your former mates to play the way you did yesterday against the Oakland Raiders?
Al, you know, I try so hard to downplay that, but I can't. You know, it was special. To reflect on what I went through, and obviously to play well against them, it means a great deal to me. But obviously winning for the Kansas City Chiefs means a great deal more. So, you know, those are the sort of things you want to reflect on when you're done playing, and I'll have a lot to reflect on, obviously.
Marcus, thank you for the visit. We'll see you next Monday night.
All right, thank you.
And Brent, next Monday night, great matchup, Kansas City against Miami from Joe Robbie Stadium.
Hope it's better than what we've seen so far tonight. This one could be a major blowout. Second half is coming up, the Lions and the Bears.
The defense.
We're ready to start the second half. Al Michaels with Frank Gifford, Dan Dierdorf, and Lynn Swann in Pontiac, Michigan, where the Lions are red hot, leading 21-0, seeking their 4th consecutive victory. And they'll receive the second half kickoff with Ron Rivers back to accept it and Todd Sauerbrunn.
That's the way the night's gone.
Yeah, ready to kick off. Exactly. That sums it up, doesn't it?
Any chance that Dave Wanstead raised his voice in the Chicago Bears locker room at halftime? I think he sounded like that lion sound effect in the background.
Yeah.
Not a happy man.
It might have reached the Ditka decibel level. Sauerbrunn's kick is taken at the 9-yard line by Alan Williams. And he brings it back up to the 28-yard line. And let's check in with Lynn Swann. Lynn?
And Al, one look at the Dave Wansted's eyes, and you know he didn't talk to him with that English genteel voice. He was disappointed with his team's play because of the penalties and because of the missed tackle that you guys were talking about earlier, and felt they were being out-physical at the line of scrimmage. Now, when I talked to Tom Moore, the offensive coordinator for the Lions, he was surprised that the defensive backs were giving them so much room at the line of scrimmage. He said that's the same thing they did in Chicago, and they hurt them then. Also, he said they cannot stop Barry Sanders with 2 deep. One of those safeties has to come up. He says if they continue to do that, they will continue to put points on the scoreboard. Al?
All right, thank you, Lynn, as Detroit takes over at the 28-yard line against the 4-man Chicago front. And Mitchell will go to the air, looks left, throws right. Catch number 10 for Herman Moore. Breaks the tackle, picks up the first down. And the second half begins the way the first half ends.
You know, the point Lynn was just making, though, about bringing one of those safeties up to play the run is, though, that means that you can't give the corners the help that they need. It's a real catch-22 for Bob Slowick, the defensive coordinator of the Chicago Bears. These corners need help from the safeties, Frank.
When you play corner like the Bears are playing, you cannot miss tackles. You have to make the tackle and give and give and give and hope for a turnover or something to happen to the offense. You just can't play that deep and then miss the tackle.
From the 44-yard line, Mitchell, buying time, checks off, throws underneath. Barry Sanders with acceleration down the sideline. Bumped out of bounds at the 16-yard line. A little change of pace move, and then he just accelerates and takes it into a 5th gear.
Yeah, he burned rubber about the 40-yard line. Just quick clutched it, and he was gone. He is such a pleasure to watch.
40-yard pickup.
You sense that this is beginning to border on a slaughter? And I don't mean Webster.
Watch this now, Barry. Looking. Now watch this. Boom. Just another gear. And missed tackles all over the place. But Joe Kane, the obvious one.
Sanders, who had 51 yards on the ground in the first half, gets taken back as he crosses the 15-yard line. Kevin Minifield leads the charge. Play before. Sanders taking the pass.
Look at those eyes,
waiting.
how they work the field.
Yep, knows exactly when to accelerate. See you later.
Not blazing straightaway speed, but plenty of it.
Plenty of it. More than Emmitt Smith. When Barry Sanders gets in the open, especially down the middle of the field, he's seldom caught from behind. This guy can motor scooter, which is always a nice thing to do in the Motor City.
2nd and 8. Mitchell gets sacked as Jim Flanagan, the one defensive lineman who is having a very good season, and it would figure he'd be the guy to get the sack.
That's his 5th sack, and there was a receiver open. He's lucky he was there.
10-yard sack. We saw Flanagan twice earlier this year on Monday Night Football.
Watch the spin.
That pass.
Look at the spin move inside there by Flanagan. Working against Kevin Glover, the center. That's a nice move to get away from that pressure. You sense a soft shoulder, you spin that direction, you come off clean. The Bears needed a big play. Now they need one more.
3rd and 18 from the 25-yard line. Mitchell for the double team to Moore and throws it out of the end zone. They finally had Herman bracketed. Carrier and Minifield were right there.
And that ball thrown out the back of the end zone, and wisely so by Scott Mitchell. That ball could not have been caught in the field of play by Harold Carmichael.
And he saw the double coverage, and he was not going to get that picked off in field goal range. Very wisely threw it away.
Or Sean Bradley, I think.
Or Sean Bradley. You're right.
He had one last week picked off by Minnesota trying to throw it away.
This is a 42-yard field goal attempt for Jason Hansen, who is somewhat dubious from beyond 40. But not here.
That could have been 55 or 60.
Yep. He's been brilliant in his career from under 40, so-so beyond 40, but bangs this one through, and it's 24-0. ABC's Monday Night Football is being brought to you by Dr. Pepper and your local Dr. Pepper bottler. Dr. Pepper is just what the doctor ordered. Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? And Bud Light, if you want great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down, make it a Bud Light. Jason Hansen will kick off with 12:11 to go in the 3rd quarter, and the suddenly red hot and to be very seriously respected Detroit Lions on top 24-0 and ready to go 7-6. Taken at the 1-yard line by Nate Lewis. He takes it up to the 22.
You know, the significance of this game, Alan Frank, certainly is that with a Lion win tonight, they both come out of this game with the same 7-6 record. But obviously the Lions will hold the tiebreaker because they will have beaten the Chicago Bears twice. So you cannot overestimate the amount of damage that the Lions will do to the Chicago Bears if they go on and win this game tonight.
And you've got Green Bay with a 2-game lead, and don't forget Minnesota, because Minnesota is also 7-6.
And Green Bay with 2 games, a tiebreaker edge over the Bears.
First down from the 21-yard line. Kramer, the deep drop, bad looking screen, and reading it brilliantly was Mike Johnson, who takes care of Green.
The defense showed up tonight for Detroit. They have struggled all year long on the defensive side of the ball.
They're looking like the original fearsome foursome, aren't they?
Good read. And Mike Johnson all over that one.
Mike Johnson manning the middle with Chris Spielman.
2nd and 17. Throw out to Green, and Green breaks one through the middle and up to the 33-yard line, tackled by Blades and Clay, and that's a first down.
Detroit thinking pass, big opening on the draw play, and of course thinking properly that Kramer was going to put it in the air. Good draw play, missed tackle by Scroggins, and first down for the Bears.
1st and 10 up at the 33-yard line. Green again. Green up to the 36
Interesting that down 24-0, that it's Robert Green that's doing the ball carrying for the Chicago Bears instead of Heisman Trophy winner Rashaan Salam. Green looks to be the guy tonight that has more of a burst, a little more explosiveness going through the line of scrimmage.
And you're behind too, Dan. Someone you can throw to out of the backfield, and where Salam has not really developed in that area as a pass receiver.
Salam has 5 carries tonight for -4 yards. On 2nd and 7, Graham makes the catch and takes it into Detroit territory, brought down at the 45-yard line by Clay and McNeil. 19-yard gain.
Robert Porcher back about 40 yards downfield, getting into a shoving match with Leuenberg and Big Cat Williams. Boy, what a great look at a tightly thrown spiral to Graham. And once again, we find the Lions in Detroit territory, their favorite place to stall out. The Bears in Lions territory. I think I reversed myself.
At the 45-yard line, catch is made by Conway, but he is tackled immediately by Corey Raymond after a gain of about 4.
Bears offense looking a little more bear-like. Got out of the hole with a good draw play to Robert Green. I had a feeling that Dave Wan said, we're going to go back and we're going to start hitting people. We're going to keep it simple. We're not going to try to get it all back in one play. We're going out and do some real banging out there. Whether we win or lose, that's what we're going to do.
Salam back in the game on 2nd down, 6 from the 41-yard line. Fake to Salam, who stays in the block. Kramer flushed out, seeks the first down, and gets to the 36-yard line. Very close to it. Tackled there by Hayward.
Kramer didn't go in feet first. He knew how far he had to go for the first down. He was going to be very close, but he didn't hook slide it. He went for all of it.
He went low, though, just at the right time, didn't he?
Ooh, he one.
Very fortunately got underneath Tracy Hayworth as he came in to put a tattoo on him.
3rd and a short yard. Chicago is 0 for 7 on 3rd down tonight, and they finally convert on a sneak by Kramer to the 34-yard line.
And by far and away, guys, the best way to run a quarterback sneak is on the quick snap count. Get your guys set. The defensive line hasn't had a chance to really anchor themselves, get their feet underneath them, get low. That's the best way to convert a quarterback sneak. Get up there, get down, and bam, snap the play.
Almost with your momentum walking up to the center.
1st and 10 at the 33-yard line. Green back in the game. Pass is thrown underneath. Keith Jennings, the tight end, takes it to the 25-yard line. It'll be 2nd and 2 for the Chicago Bears, clad in white pants on the road for the first time since 1983. The Bears as a team got together and said, hey, let's try something different. It's been 12 years since they've worn those pants on the road, and will probably be another 12.
Yeah, I was going to say it might be 2007 till we see them again.
Bears right now with a pretty good drive, doing what they set out to do at the outset of this game, and this time they've got a pretty good thing happening.
2nd and a deuce from the 25-yard line. 7 minutes remaining in the quarter. The play fake, the pass, Carter, the fullback, and he gets banged out of bounds at the 17-yard line, and that's a first down. Carter filling in for Raymond Harris, who is their fullback, and we have an injured Lion, Ryan McNeil. Harris was hurt on opening day. They had hoped to activate him before the end of the season, and then gave up on that and put him on injured reserve last week. Injury timeout, 6:51 left for the quarter.
Ryan McNeil, the injured Detroit Lion player, still down on the ground. He was on his face. They've rolled him over onto his back. He's moving his leg. He's on the left side of the screen, and you see that Tony Carter's helmet hits him right in the face mask, and you saw his helmet snap, and that's a pretty severe blow to the head that he took. Carter, instead of going out of bounds, lowers his shoulder and took on 3 Detroit Lions. And Ryan McNeil was just in an awkward position and really took it kind of on the right cheek.
Just the flat of the helmet of Carter caught him right on the side of his helmet.
Ryan McNeil, a second-round pick of the Lions back in 93 out of Miami, and has done a solid job at corner for them.
Yeah, you don't want to play doctor from the booth, but if there is any good news here, it is that the medical staff felt comfortable in rolling him over onto his back. He was moving his legs and his arms, and here's a really good sign that appears McNeil's going to get on his feet. The usual questions now, they kind of start with, where are we?
Sometimes you know it, you just can't get it out.
Speaking of injuries, Wayne Fonts with what is described as a high ankle sprain.
Hurt the ankle in the Tampa Bay game.
Yep.
3 weeks ago, and had a sense of humor. He said he's not asked the team to win one for the limper yet.
It happened on the sidelines. Actually hit from behind by one of his players as they were running out onto the field, and McNeil is up and at them. I guess you'd start by asking him if his name is Ryan McNeil or Ryan O'Neal. That would be I think a good place to start.
He probably knows where he is by now.
And who Farrah Fawcett is.
Yes, that's right.
Robert Massey will come in for McNeil. McNeil, who's done a good job tonight against Conway and Graham.
Meanwhile, the Bears with a good-looking drive. Their first of the night. They're down 24-0. First and 10 at the 17. Kramer throws. Catch made by Ryan Wetnight to the 11-yard line. And Kramer has just broken Billy Wade's Bear record for most passing yards in a season. Wade set that back in 1962. And so that's a record that has stood for 33 years. And Eric Kramer has just eclipsed that mark.
He's on his way to getting one of the long-standing ones, Sid Luckman, for touchdown passes. And yardage.
Too shy of Luckman's mark, and there he is, the all-time leader, most passing yards in a season. Second down and 4 from the 12-yard line, and they give it to Green, and Green inside the 5 for a touchdown. So the Bears start this drive deep in their own territory. The drive started at their own 21, and they go 79 yards as they attempt to get back into the game.
Well, that illustrates, too, why Dave Wanstead has so much faith in Robert Green. Nifty little move at about the 4-yard line to get it into the end zone.
And when you put a move on a safety, they call it undressing him. And we're going to see a Detroit safety undressed right here.
Well blocked, too.
Yep, take a look right there at Willie Clay, who comes in and doesn't even get a whisper of a finger on Robert Green.
Well, it's a point in the game where you would think about going for 2 because you'd be down by 16. Instead, they opt for just the 1, the conventional conversion, and that makes it 24-7. Robert Porcher working up a sweat. The Lion defense was on the field a long time, and the Bears capitalized, going 79 yards to get on the board, and it's 24-7.
Now what the Bears are thinking, let's try and get a turnover. Get back in this thing.
Well, certainly the Chicago Bears offensively are capable of, between now and the end of the game, putting 24 points on the board. The question is their defense capable of shutting out the Lions for the balance of this football game? And we've seen nothing to suspect that they can.
Sauerbrunn sends it down to Ron Rivers at the goal line, and he comes back out to the 20-yard line, tackled there by Anthony Marshall. 5:54 left in the third. Detroit 24, Chicago 7. Sunday at 1:30 Eastern, 12:30 Central and Pacific. Chichi Rodriguez has the home course advantage over Lee Trevino and Shell's wonderful World of Golf. That's Sunday right here on ABC. Robert Green was down, but gets up and walks off, and we'll see Rashaan Salam in all likelihood. His numbers rushing tonight. He's been very good and scored the touchdown, and also plays on special teams, and that's how he got hurt.
Well, Salam gets the bulk of the carries normally during the course of the season, and that really relegates Robert Green to having to fill a spot on special teams. It's going to be the double whammy if he can't continue. They're both going to have to replace him offensively and on special teams.
All right, Chicago's defense has to come up big here to get him back into the game. Mitchell starts by hitting Moore, who makes the catch off his shoe tops. seeks the first down and is close to it. That's 11 catches for Herman Moore, one short of the Detroit Lion team record.
Well, you can only suspect, Frank, wouldn't you, that by the cushion Minifield's giving, he's expecting some help underneath, and it's not there.
Well, he's playing at least 12 yards off now, and they're not going to stop throwing the ball. I mean, why should they?
Well,
this is just plain catch.
What a wonderful illustration of what Wayne Fonts was telling us about Herman Moore's hands.
Boy, they're soft.
So soft.
First and 10 at the 31-yard line. Sanders goes nowhere. He's taken down by Albert Fontenot. I bet you he'd be a great blackjack dealer. Herman, among other things.
Let's take a look at that thing again. Kenny Wolf, our producer, Craig Janoff, our director. See if we can serve up another look at that one.
You know, we haven't seen it tonight, but he has the same kind of hands in an acrobatic stance. Look at him keep that ball off the carpet.
Oh, that's
by the end of the football.
Beautiful look, guys.
With his wonderful concentration.
Second and 10 at the 31-yard line. Blitz. Mitchell throws. Sanders makes the catch. And Lincoln bumps him out of bounds, but not until he picks up a first down up at the 43-yard line.
A good read all the way along the line for Detroit. Bears showing blitz. They got into it a little bit early. Everybody read it. Barry out of the backfield and right in sync with Scott Mitchell.
Trying to think how many times I would have looked at that replay of Herman Moore catching that ball and not come up with the fact that he would have been a good blackjack dealer.
I would have watched his every move.
I would have moved to another table.
Yes. From the 44-yard line, a reverse as Sanders gives it to Morton, and the former USC star is into Chicago territory and taken down at the 39 by Joe Kane.
Oh, Donnie Morton's got some speed, and it's quick speed.
Well, he went by Alonzo Spellman, who really did a pretty good job of being in the right spot.
He thought he had him in just a little burst, and Morton was gone.
Alonzo just went a little too far upfield, forced him back to the inside, and they're still looking at the left leg in some way of Robert Green. Watch Spellman there at the top of your screen. He plays it. He sees it coming. He just overruns it and goes upfield, and Johnny Morton, explosive speed.
Morton's first rush of the season. Barry Sanders is out of bounds at the 30-yard line. Jeremy Lincoln makes the tackle.
Look how many Bears are on the field after the conclusion of a Lions offensive play. Missed tackles virtually every play. This is a defensive team right now that looks as if they've lost their confidence.
Kane
tapping his hamstring as he goes off.
Minter comes in for him. Second down and a long yard at the 29. 3 minutes to go, third quarter. Detroit by 17 and whistle before the snap.
I don't think they got it off in time.
Second and 1 is going to become a second and 6.
Delay a game against the offense. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
Wayne Fonts, you know, coaches come in all shapes and forms, and you've got Shula, and you know, you had Tom Landry, and then you've got Jackie Gleason, right?
I never thought of that, but there are some similarities. One of the most personable and affable guys you ever want to meet, and downright funny.
Yep, he's hysterical at times. He always the brunt of his own jokes.
We've even got the music for you. Second down and 6. And Sanders gets thrown down by Lincoln as he reaches the line of scrimmage. Vincent Smith also there.
Flanagan thought he had him behind the line of scrimmage for a 2 or 3 yard loss, and Barry Sanders just skipped right out of it. Yep.
How do you think John Facenda would have described Wayne Fonts in those old NFL films? You know, Facenda and Lombardi were made for each other, right?
He might have been the source for all of those grunts.
John
all those
Facenda,
moans and noises.
the voice of God.
Third down and 6 from the 34-yard line. Mitchell. Moore he'll tie the team record with that catch at the 25-yard line. That's a dozen tonight. He's tackled there by Keyshawn Johnson. It ties a record set twice this year by Brett Perriman, once by James Jones in 1986, and initially all the way back in 1950 by Cloyce Box, a good friend of yours, Frank.
Cloyce Box, one of the all-time greats for the Detroit Lions, passed away a couple of years ago. Missed by the Lions. He stayed with them all after he left here in the late 50s and was very close to this team and the organization.
That was Moore's 99th catch of the season. He leads the league in that department. Mitchell throws. Sanders. Well, he doesn't need any blocking. To the 14-yard line. He just looks like he's in a maze. This way, that way, give a head, take a shoulder.
You know, Perriman had a dozen catches the last time the Lions have played, and you know they've had a big advantage in getting ready for this ball game. They haven't played since Thanksgiving Day. In fact, they've had the longest you can possibly have without a bye, going from the early game on Thanksgiving Day and then not playing again until the following Monday night, a week from the following Monday. So they've had 11 full days to prepare for the Bears, and it shows.
At the 13-yard line, final minute of the quarter, and we've got another delay penalty, the second. So on a march that otherwise has been close to brilliant, twice somehow they've let the clock run down to 0.
I think Scott Mitchell was complaining that he was not getting the call in time to get it off. He looked over the sideline, and I think when you know your quarterback has arrived, and this was not the character that we have known of Scott Mitchell, and he kind of snapped it over at the sideline and said, get it in here. You know, you want me to run it? Get it in on time.
Well, keep in
He's
mind
taking over this football team.
Keep in mind they come in by radio now to a speaker in the quarterback's helmet, so there's really not much excuse for not getting that play in on time, and this is going to be the end of the third quarter. And a good old-fashioned whooping.
End of 3, Detroit 24, Chicago 7. Monday Night Football resumes after this from our ABC safety. Ready to start the fourth quarter in Pontiac, Michigan. Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, Dan Dierdorf, and Lynn Swann. 24-7 Detroit. The Lions have a 1st and 15 at the 18-yard line. Scott Mitchell has thrown for 291 yards. Almost was over 300. Perriman had it glance off his fingertips. Marty Carter covering on the play.
And Brett Perriman may have injured himself. Came down kind of awkwardly.
Did he get his legs tangled up there? Looked like he did. Didn't have a chance to really go up for it. Nice. Very quiet stadium, covered by Jeremy Lincoln. Did they get tangled up a little bit here? No.
Yes, they did.
Yes, they did.
Injury timeout. That is our complex outside the outside the Silverdome. We've got one of our tape guys doing some jumping jacks out there, but you know.
Good look at the Cap City's ABC fitness program.
That's right.
In effect.
From the Goodyear Blimp Spirit of Akron. That's what our boys do on the break.
Perriman coming off. He stayed in the end zone for several minutes, it seemed, checking out his left leg, and then he was able to walk off on his own, and there was a collective sigh of relief here in the Silverdome.
Aubrey Matthews comes in to take his spot here on 2nd down and 15 from the 18-yard line. Mitchell for Herman Moore in the corner of the end zone, but he's out of bounds. Those great hands brought it in, but he was out. Kevin Minifield with the coverage.
Well, we talked about it earlier. Kevin Minifield is 5'9", Herman Moore 6'3", 6'4". And that is a mismatch. More than anything, these wonderful hands of Herman Moore. It's worth looking at even out of bounds. Looks right in to the hands with a good stretching leap. Minifield no chance to even reach the ball. About as high as Minifield can go.
3rd 15 from the 18-yard line. Early fourth quarter. drops the ball at the 12-yard line. Started to run before he looked the ball totally into his hands. Never had control, and the Lions send out Hansen for a field goal attempt.
And that's exactly what he did. He was thinking end zone,
and he had a lot of room too.
And the ball delivered perfectly by Scott Mitchell. And that's the kind you take your eyes off. Well, see, you can see it right there.
Now a 36-yard field goal attempt for Hansen. He made a 42-yarder earlier.
He's got an extraordinary percentage inside 40 yards, doesn't he?
He's only missed 2 in his career, a long career, and that one is good. To tack on 3 more. Hansen now 68 of 70 inside 40 in his career. The Detroit Lions in quest of a 4th straight win and trying to go 7-6 on the year, on top 27-7. Brett Perriman trying to shake it off as he works the kinks out along the sideline. Robert Green, with that foot now iced, had scored the Bears touchdown on the last drive, but was hurt on special teams play as the Bears received the kick from Hansen. Taken at the 4-yard line, dropped and picked back up there. And Lewis brings it back up to the 27-yard line. Kramer and the Bears take it at that spot. 36 seconds into the 4th quarter. The Detroit Lions have scored in every quarter tonight, and the Chicago Bears have a bad string going. 20 consecutive periods allowing opponents to score. That is a team record for a franchise that's been in existence for 76 years. Well, he's sleeping contentedly because the Lions are up by 20. Flags are down. Kramer throws, and the catch is made by Jeff Graham, who hauls it in as he is pushed out of bounds. Luther Ellis had jumped, the #1 draft choice from Utah.
I don't think he was drawn off. I think he was just trying to anticipate the count and get a jump on it.
Offsides on the defense, number 91. 5-yard penalty is declined. First down.
Monday Night Football is being brought to you by Jeep, maker of the new Jeep Grand Cherokee. Office Max, we go to the max for you. Thrifty Car Rental, historically known for low rates. And Microsoft, where do you want to go today? 1st and 10, Chicago from the 39-yard line as Kramer throws, and Jennings can't make the one-handed catch on the pass thrown behind him. 2nd down.
Tough night for Eric Kramer, who spent 3 years here with the Lions, led them to a couple of playoff years, and has been having a superb year coming into tonight with a 61% completion, 26 touchdowns, and there's a possible Steve Walsh to come in maybe if it gets out of reach.
Well, Walsh hasn't taken a snap this season after
Kramer's taken them all,
guiding the team to 8 victories last year, plus 1 in postseason. 2nd and 10. Salam cuts it back and then gets taken down from behind by Tracy Scroggins at the 47-yard line. Next Monday we go to Joe Robbie Stadium. It's the 3rd Monday night game of the year from Miami, and this is a beauty. The Kansas City Chiefs, and you're looking at Steve Bono in the shot right there, Marcus Allen and company, Marty Schottenheimer doing a brilliant job, and the Chiefs 11-2 against the Miami Dolphins, coming off their last-minute win yesterday. Marino and company 7-6. Next Monday night, Chiefs Dolphins. 3rd down and 3. Kramer throws, and Wet Knight juggles and can't make the catch as he was wrapped up by Greg Jeffries. And Ryan is shaken. Ryan Wet Knight, the #2 tight end, and an injury timeout here. It'll be 4th down and 3 for Chicago when we come back. Well, the Chicago Bears, down by 20 points, have a 4th down and close to 3. from their own 47-yard line. 13:20 to go in regulation.
And here, look at this. Look at this fire drill going on here on the part of both teams. People coming and going. If they've got this right, I'll be surprised.
The offensive unit coming back on for the Bears. They obviously are either going to go for it or try and draw the Lions off. You got to think at this point they're going to go for it.
A pretty vital conversion here. 4th down, short 3 from the 46-yard line. Lions put 8 in the box. Kramer retreats, hits Graham, and he makes the catch at the 48 for a 1st down, tackled by Robert Massey. They're still breathing, are the Chicago Bears.
Boy, good job of Graham selling that off the line of scrimmage. He looked like Carl Lewis coming out of the blocks, driving downfield, but only for 5 yards. That was, boy, an excellent job by Graham of selling the deep route.
Got a look at Mike Shula, assistant coach, and Don's son.
Here's how you convince a corner that you're going deep. Boy, he really came driving off that line. Massey has no choice but to honor it.
Now Kramer for Graham, but only the Lions had position that time. Raymond and Clay were right there, and Graham had no chance at all.
That's perfect execution on the part of Willie Clay. He's looking into the backfield. He picks up Kramer's eyes, got plenty of time to sprint over, and Corey Raymond to position himself outside of the receiver.
That ball's
played.
intercepted by Willie Clay if he's not knocked off of it by Corey Raymond. Raymond, of course, has no idea that Clay is coming. Nobody has that kind of vision. He's trying to make a play on the ball, but Clay, he has that one all the way.
2nd down and 10 at the 48-yard line. Catch made at the 42, and this is Michael Timpson. Gain of about 6. Spielman and Clay make the tackles.
I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome a couple of new affiliates to our ABC television network. They are WPTY Memphis 24 and 25 WEHT in Evansville. We're awfully glad to have you on board our Monday Night Football team, and that all got started with tonight's game. Welcome aboard.
3rd down and 5. Chicago with the 42. 12 minutes left in the 4th quarter. Kramer throws underneath. The catch is made by Carter at the 40-yard line, but he's 2 yards short of the 1st down. Chris Spielman in stereo.
He is a throwback, isn't he?
Well, he's the pride of Massillon, Ohio, and the Ohio State Buckeyes. This guy, there are a lot of folks bigger, a lot of folks faster, none more instinctive, and none any tougher.
Well, another 4th and 2 for Chicago. Another critical conversion for them as they try to stay in the game, give themselves a chance. And on 4th and 2, they're able to convert as Ryan Wetnight makes the catch at the 36-yard line. So in bits and pieces, they're picking up yardage. 11 minutes to go. 1st down. Willie Clay on the stop. Bears will go to Cincinnati next Sunday. Then they go home to end their season against Tampa Bay and Philadelphia.
What's really interesting, we'll talk about it after this play, is Detroit's remaining schedule.
Yeah.
Not a backbreaker.
From the 36-yard line. Catch is made by Salam, and he gets ripped down after a minimal gain by Johnson in London. A look at the schedule. We talked about Chicago on the road at Cincy, then Tampa Bay and Philly. Detroit at Houston Sunday, then Jacksonville here, and at Tampa Bay. And you see the records reflected in brackets.
Not to belittle any of those 3 remaining opponents of the Detroit Lions, but all with losing records. One of them an expansion team.
Yep. A composite 14 and 25.
One of them moving, and one of them wears really awful-looking orange uniforms.
Yes. Here's Carter, and he gets taken out of bounds at the 25-yard line by Tracy Hayward, who loses his helmet in the process, and Lynn Swann right in the middle of the action. They give it back to him. Lynn Swann can do everything.
It was a sweaty helmet too, really wet on the inside.
Oh, you've become so classy.
Swanee, just don't ask for his autograph.
I won't. Or a hug.
You couldn't interview him? Come on, Swanee.
Ooh, it's a helmet pump and tackle. Boy, there comes.
Carter's popped a few of them tonight.
There comes the old ear pad out. That not only came off, but came apart.
Luther Ellis was in the backfield, and that one is whistled dead.
Detroit saying that they were drawn off. Good hard count again by Eric Kramer. We've watched him do that a couple times tonight.
Those are not words of encouragement.
Or G-rated.
Encroachment on the defense, number 94, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Still feeling his way. The Lions' #1 draft choice this year, Luther Ellis, as a coach, and that's what John Teerlink is. You have to walk that fine line of criticism, but at the same time, you don't want to break a rookie's spirit. This guy's already played more football games than almost 2 full seasons in college. He's tired. He's a little frazzled. You gotta be tender, but at times you gotta be tough.
First and 5 from the 20-yard line. Kramer. Incomplete. Conway is there. Kind of sounds like a parent, doesn't it, Dan?
Well, at this stage of the game, you're right. There are a lot of parenting skills involved if you're a coach.
And coaches feel kind of a paternal interest in their players.
As Wayne Fonts told us yesterday, you got to know when to give them a little sugar.
Yep. The only difference in this scenario is that the parent goes to the kid for an allowance.
Yeah, no kidding. This is the child makes more than the father in this scenario.
Second down and 5. 13th play of the drive from just inside the 20-yard line. Lions run a stunt. Kramer steps up and has his hand hit as he throws. Scroggins and Owens deck him. Third down.
We knew there was a huge problem when the players started making more than the announcers.
I know it.
That's when it's out of control.
Totally.
Probably the toughest night the Kramers had all year long. Sacked a couple of times, hit many times after he's released the ball. Under constant pressure.
Of course, we'll know the game. We'll know the game is really out of control if the players ever start making more than Kathy Lee.
Way out of control. Third and 5 from the 20-yard line, and the pass is incomplete, intended for Curtis Conway. It's 4th down now, and the Bears are compelled to convert a 3rd, 4th down on this drive to try to stay in the game.
But you'd understand better, Dan, as you'll be glad to know, I don't have a prenuptial.
Maybe you ought to sprinkle a little sugar on Al and me, huh?
Hang around, guys.
Kevin Butler, hopeful of getting in for an extra point as he stands and waits along the sideline.
At this point, they don't want his 3.
Yep, they're not thinking field goal down by 20 here. 4th and 5. Kramer gets sacked. So with emphasis and an exclamation point, Detroit ends that drive. Robert Bourget led the charge.
4 sacks tonight, only 8 coming into tonight. Detroit has totally dominated this defensively.
In Detroit, they have restored the roar.
The Lions are back.
Yes, sir. Restore that roar.
Well, it's obviously Chicago's football.
Kitty.
Very symbolic of what has happened here tonight. Well, I'm not very satisfied.
No, not at all. Barry Sanders picks up about 12. Detroit leading 27-7. You know, the question now becomes, how good are the Lions? I mean, how far are the Lions going to go? They've won 4 in a row if they hold on tonight.
This is a great time to be getting it together.
Very well, yeah.
You're 3 weeks away from the playoffs. They make a good drive. They're going to be in the playoffs, and they can win the remaining 3 games for sure.
Well, you know how much confidence comes with winning 4 in a row, and that's what the Lions have right now. They are brimming with confidence, as well they should be. Look at how well they're playing.
Yep.
In really all facets of the game. And tonight, having been run out of a couple games defensively, they've really played strong football on the defensive side of the ball. This has been a very high-powered Chicago offense that they have throttled tonight.
Yep, and that has to be scary to the rest of the league because, I mean, offensively, Mitchell has really come into his own. You've got the great receivers and Moore and Perriman and Morton as the number 3 guy. Barry Sanders, I mean, you know, forget it. He's as good as it gets. And now if they start playing well defensively and good special teams play, who knows?
I think a big question right now is Brett Perriman. You see he's still in the game. You hope that whatever injury he has doesn't get sore after the game and limit his time.
There's Sanders on a screen on 2nd and 5, a little short of the first down. Zorich makes the tackle. 7:15 to go in the 4th quarter.
Another big night for Barry Sanders.
17 more on the ground, and he'll be the 10th player to reach 5 figures.
And you kind of get the feeling that Wayne Fontes would like that to happen tonight.
And he did it quickly.
Yeah, this is his 102nd game, so in his career he's averaged close to 100 yards per game on the ground.
And only 2 other players have done it more quickly, Eric Dickerson and Jim Brown. 3rd and 1. And Mitchell takes it himself on a sneak, and it's 6-6. He tries to extend that frame and is very close to a first down, a little short of the 50-yard line. Yards per carry. When you talk about the great backs, there they are, the guys with 2,000 or more carries. Jim Brown averaged an astonishing 5.22 yards per carry, and Sanders would be 2nd all-time at 4.96, and there are the rest. That is remarkable.
Agreed. It is remarkable, especially when you consider that for a great deal of Barry Sanders' career, he was not surrounded by a lot of offensive threats.
Played in a lot of single back set. I mean, he gets taken from the backside so many times here because he doesn't have that back in front of him like Daryl Johnson down with Emmitt Smith and the Cowboys.
There's that 4.9 average.
Pretty much a typical night. 79 yards with 6 minutes left in the game. Averaging a tick under 5 yards per carry.
There's rarely a game, though, he doesn't break off a big one.
He's had one tonight. I think he'd like to have another.
Not here. Picks up a yard and a half to the 49-yard line. Tackled by Spellman and Flanagan. And now you've got a pushy-shovey match between Kane and Wydell.
Been a pretty good work of pretty good night's work. That was good, Dan. Up front by
audition tape.
Yes, please send that to the old Emmy folks. The Lions offensive line: Lomas Brown at left tackle, Doug Wydell, Kevin Glover, David Lutz, and Zafros Moss. They have been effective tonight. Glover right there, number 53, one of the best centers in the game, and of course Lomas Brown at left tackle has been an all-star for a long time.
2nd and 9. Mitchell throws, and Herman Moore has a new team record with his 13th catch of the night. He's out of bounds at the 41-yard line, and that's his 100th catch of the season.
You know, they haven't gone back to that for a while. You get the feeling they could have thrown it all night long. And I think they were just getting Kevin Menifield's attention again. We can still do that, Kevin. Just a little hitch at about 6 or 8 yards. Timed out beautifully with Scott Mitchell, who has really got this passing game down. He really came to life in our San Francisco 49er game back in the early part of the season. That's when things really turned around for Scott Mitchell.
3rd and 1 from the 42-yard line. Mitchell. And he hits Brett Perriman, and that's a first down, and flags come in at the end of the play for a face mask.
Well, that was a good spin move back to the inside by Perriman. That pretty much erases, I think, any concerns about his leg. That would be, if he had something wrong down there, he wouldn't be looking that agile.
Personal foul, face mask on the defense. Number 32, 15-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
Dwayne Joseph. Well, we've seen Herman Moore tonight set a new team record, and it was overlooked in a lot of quarters when Scott Mitchell set a team record on Thanksgiving Day that Bobby Lane had held for more than 4 decades.
Yeah, when he went over 400 yards, 410 to be precise. And you see right now that Herman Moore has hit the century mark with 100 receptions. Moves past Michael Irvin of the Cowboys. Of course, you can see what kind of a year it's been in the NFL throwing the football when you see that list of leaders in receptions. Everybody's getting their share.
Here's Sanders. And Barry for a hard yard to the 19. Mitchell tonight has thrown for 309 yards. And Barry Sanders tonight closing in on 100. Probably won't get there the way things look right now. 81 yards for Barry, who has also picked up 93 yards catching the football.
And he's 0 for 1 throwing it.
Yes. 4 minutes to go. 27-7 Detroit. Sanders to the 16. Well, you still have, of course, San Francisco, the 49ers playing very well. Dallas hits a bump in the road, but clearly the cream of the crop, those two teams in the NFC.
But Dallas, of course, with the the significance of their loss, they can't afford another stumble.
Right.
If the 49ers run the table, Dallas is forced to do the same, or they end up with the same record, and the tiebreaker belongs to the 49ers, courtesy of that win in Dallas.
It's going to get very interesting. Green Bay playing extremely well, of course, and all of a sudden, here come the Detroit Lions.
Just at the right time of the season.
That's everything blending with this team right now. 3rd down and 5.
No, I don't believe that was the intended snap count.
Nope. Blending except in those circumstances. That's the 3rd time tonight the clock has run out on Mitchell at the line.
Of course, Dave Wanstedt didn't want to make too much of this, saying, hey, we'll lose the game only if we don't block and tackle well enough. But this certainly extends the road woes of the Chicago Bears in the month of December.
Mitchell, again, I think he's upset. He is getting the call in too late for them to get up to the line of scrimmage and get it off. He has snapped a couple times over to the sidelines to that effect.
3rd down and 10. And Herman Moore makes the catch, takes it to the 9-yard line, and that's a 1st down. Minifield makes the tackle.
Herman has become a real monster of a receiver. This guy is something special.
Well, he doesn't have Donnell Wolford to work against. We talked about that all night, but he has just had a marvelous night.
Well, you used to have, we touched on it earlier, you used to have Jerry Rice and Michael Irvin. They would get mentioned in the same breath. I don't think it's fair to do that any longer without factoring Herman Moore into that equation.
Here is Barry Sanders swinging to the outside. And he picks up a couple. Mark Carrier makes the tackle. Moore used to be overlooked. I think that Chris Carter's a little overlooked as well. I mean, every time you pick up the paper, Chris has had another big day as he did yesterday. We'll see Carter and Jerry Rice on the same field in 2 weeks. Minnesota against San Francisco. Good matchup.
I kind of like next week's game as well.
Yeah.
Kansas City makes the trip to Miami with the NFL's best record.
We congratulated them yet on the AFC West.
Yep. 11-2.
3 to go. Yep. Lock it up.
2-minute warning. Herman Moore in his 5th year out of Virginia, 100 catches for the year, 14 tonight. We mentioned before the NFL record is 18, set by Tom Fears back in 1950 with the Los Angeles Rams. And Bob Waterfield and Norm Van Brocken were the quarterbacks who were throwing to Fears in those days. 18 in one game.
Great combination. Waterfield and Van Brocken in the same ball club.
December 3rd, 1950. It was the Rams against the Green Bay Packers. 2 minutes to go. 2nd and goal from the 7-yard line, and Barry Sanders works his way down to the 5 with 1:56 left on the clock.
Monday night, normally an opportunity for players around the league to shine in front of their peers and pick up some Pro Bowl votes. Not really a problem for Herman Moore, who is going to be a fixture in Honolulu if he remains healthy for many years to come.
You mentioned some of the receivers. Michael Irvin, of course, and Jerry Rice, Herman Moore, and very quietly, Jeff Graham and Curtis Conway have had good years for the Bears.
Yeah, and you factor in Carter and Brett Perryman, who, you know, came into tonight's game tied with. There's going to be a lot of talent that doesn't get to play in the Pro Bowl. I think by far and away the most competitive position in football right now is wide receiver as far as quality from top to bottom.
It reflects the change in the game, too. The predominance now of passing and the enforcing of the rules, the offensive tackle stepping back a yard, the enforcing of the 5-yard rule by the defensive back.
You know, it's 4th down and goal here. The Lions are just letting the clock tick down. So are the Bears. It's a case where you don't want to pour it on. You run a pretty rudimentary play. And then you see what happens. The game in effect is over, and they'll see if they can get Barry into the end zone, and they cannot. So the Bears will take over on downs at the 4-yard line with a half-minute left in the game. Well, we're talking about the Lions, and things are going swimmingly right now, and Wayne Fontes is all of a sudden a genius instead of a bum. But on the other side of the field, Mr. Wannstedt and his team has some problems. This is the 9th time in 10 games the Bears have yielded 24 or more points.
And coming from a defensive background as he did, the defensive coordinator for the Cowboys, before he came to the Bears, it has to be even more frustrating. That is his heritage, his background, defense, and this has just got to be killing him.
And they have now lost 4 of their last 5 games with their lone victory last week against the New York Giants. Hardly a football juggernaut, and had to scratch one out there by only 3 points. So this is a Chicago Bears team that's on a downward spiral.
The Chicago Bears will lose a season series to Detroit for the first time since 1983. Lions will sweep both games. Kramer will give the ball to Salam, and he'll be tackled by Porcher. And that's kind of the way the game will end for Chicago. And we can tell you Wednesday night, Ellen, the Drew Carey Show, Grace Under Fire, The Naked Truth, and Primetime Live will come your way. That's the primetime lineup, and we go to Miami next Monday. So Kramer comes back to Detroit, but it's not his night. It's not the Bears' night. It's certainly not the Bear defense's night. The Lions, meanwhile, keep rolling. They will become somebody's darlings in the media, I'm sure, very soon. 4 straight, looking great. They go to 7-6 and go to Houston next week. We'll talk to you from Miami next Monday. Until then, now, Michael Swann, Gifford, Dan Dierdorf, Lynn, Swann. Good night from Pontiac, Michigan. I don't believe this.